Hi, everybody. DJ Yokley here with a special presentation. Being that sports is such a great and impactful thing in all of our lives, and everyone has heroes, and you hear about the word legend all the time. But a true legend of Western Pennsylvania has passed on and meant an awful lot, not only to Northeast Ohioers and Ohioans and Western Pennsylvanians, but to the national and world stage as well, as Franco Harris dies at the age of 72, the longtime Pittsburgh Steeler. And with more on our side and what Franco Harris meant, we bring in our resident expert and chief Pennsylvanian, Mr. Mike Ackelson. How are you, Mikey?
I'm actually doing all right today. How are you, DJ?
I'm doing well, man. So when we talk about this, the Steelers of old, I know how much that era of the Pittsburgh Steelers meant to you. What and why is Franco Harris so important to Steelers fans everywhere?
Well, it's funny. Like, the first thing that comes to mind, you'll think the Immaculate Reception. You'll think the 4 Super Bowls, the MVP in their first Super Bowl victory. Those are the things that come. And at one time, he was the second all-time leading rusher as when he was active. You think of those, but it's what he did afterwards. His impact around Western Pennsylvania is unbelievable. If there was an organization that needed help, Franco was there. His giving, I mean, he just was very donating of his time. And he always did things that were above and beyond. And he's what a pro athlete should be. He never put that circle around himself. I mean, if you listen to him, he always said, I don't remember what was going on. And he credited his teammates, that it was a lucky bounce. Somebody made a block. Somebody made this. Very unselfish. Like, he was just a typical hard nosed, bring my lunch pail to work Western Pennsylvania guy. And it was easy to fall in love with. And it's weird. Like, I was listening to a bunch of shows today, and I think this is what really summed it up for me. Prior to him, I don't remember anybody like the Purple People Eaters from Minnesota. That came about right after him. It was Franco's Italian Army. And I got a shirt his rookie year. My mom bought it for me. And I wore that thing every Sunday. And I wore that thing till it was threads. I mean, there was nothing left of it. And to this day, I'm still upset that it got thrown away. Like, he was my guy. And the weird story, and if I get long, you can stop me, but you go back to that playoff game, like, Pittsburgh Steeler fans had no hope of anything happening. And all of a sudden they make the playoffs. There's this rookie team Chuck Noll was building. They had a great defense, but this running back was something special. And I'm sitting there and I remember, like, games were blacked out then. This is hard for people to imagine. Like, we didn't actually get to see that game on TV. We listened to it on a radio, and every few plays you had to go up and tweak it because, back then it would start cracking and this and that. And I remember as the time was winding down, it's my birthday. It is my 8th birthday, and we're listening to that game. And everybody's like, it's over. They get up, they start to leave. And my dad shut it off, and I flipped it back on. I'm like, it's not over. It's 4th down. They still got one more play. And I started hooting and hollering and jumping when they scored. And I can remember Jack Fleming's call. He scooped it out of the air, and it's crazy. But I always felt like there was a connection for me. And it's weird. And when I finally got to meet Franco, I was covering a basketball game for FMJ, and our photographer goes, "Hey, that's Franco Harris." He walked over, he got the autograph for me. But I walked over, I introduced myself, and I said, "I just need to thank you. You gave me the greatest birthday gift ever. And every December 23rd, I replay the video and tell everybody about it. And my Raider fans are like, we hate you, because you get to celebrate that, and you just continue to rub the salt in the wound, because it wasn't a legal play." And I'm like, well, it went off Jack Tatum. It's pretty easy to see that in my mind. And they're like, well, in our mind, we see it going off Frenchie. But he was just great, like, talking to him about it. And he was like, I don't remember anything about it. He goes, but that's pretty cool that you relate that to me. And I talked to him for like 20 minutes in between a basketball game. And it wasn't about him. Like, he praised all his teammates. He goes, think about it. Terry had to make the pass. Frenchie had to get laid out by Jack Tatum for that to work. And and I'm trying to think who the tight end that would hit the key block that Bill Villapiano, to the day he died, said was a clip. But if you see it, the helmet's in front of the player, not behind him. And I just remember all those things about it. And like the crowd, it's one of those things like, wow, it sunk with me, and was always just a Franco fan because of it. The Italian army, everything, like you just couldn't go wrong.
I think one of the coolest things, Mike, is you and I talked. This is your birthday weekend. You're going to the game, for the Steelers and the Raiders, the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Being that Franco is, he was pumped up to go, and obviously came up just short of making his way there. What do you expect the atmosphere to be like this weekend?
It's weird because I've run that gamut through my mind right now. Like at first, like I heard him on a radio interview last night, and he was so pumped up, like he couldn't wait to be there. They were actually, I think it's tomorrow or Friday, they were to go to the actual spot. It was him and a couple of the players, and they were going to take pictures, and like they were pumped. And you're like thinking the anticipation towards that to me was great. And then them retiring his number, to me, if you look at it and the Steelers start retiring numbers, and I think any NFL team could say this, you start retiring a bunch of numbers, you're going to be in trouble real quick. But there's a few numbers that probably need to be retired, and his is definitely one of them. And it's never been handed out since he left the team, which I think a lot of people don't realize and remember. But now I look, is it going to be somber? It's going to be more like a tribute, it's going to be different. Like I know the Steelers have already hung a 32 up on Ackelson Stadium, and it's almost going to be different. I think it was going to be a party festive. Now it's going to be an honoring, like, pound the chest, wave the towel, and I'm still glad that I'm going.
So for you, I mean, a guy that has loved the Steelers for as long as you've been alive, aside from the Immaculate Reception, what are you going to remember most about Franco Harris?
Um, a lot of people didn't like this about him, but I always thought it was smart. He would run out of bounds instead of take that extra 2-3 yards and give up his body. What he was doing was giving his body up to play another game. He was the ultimate team player, the way I look at that. And I know some people will disagree with my statement right there, but if you think about it, how many times have you seen a guy fighting for that one extra yard and all of a sudden an ankle goes, or he gets popped in the hand, or he gets a major concussion? I think Franco was a very smart player, and that's what I always remembered about him, that, when he had to put his head down in the middle of the field, he did. But if he was on the sidelines, why take an unnecessary hit? And I think that's what made him the player that he was, because longevity at a running back position is not usually there. And I think he got a few extra years out of his body because of doing that.
Mike Ackelson, our resident expert in the NFL and all things Steelers. My friend, thank you and happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all. And I can't wait to be talking with you guys again.